It's Chris, Liege Games. January roundup, right? How was your January? Very interesting January over here. I played a lot of games. I forced myself to play a lot of games. Games that I had never played before, games that were coming to crowdfunding that I had had copies of, and a little bit of everything in between. Games that are newer, and also games that deserve a big shout out for being awesome and not also being on the hotness. So where does that leave us? Well, obviously, let's start with what did I back, what didn't I back, and what am I backing currently right now. Let's do it. And then, afterwards, we will go into my top games of January. Full disclaimer, I had a total of mid-40s in terms of plays, but literally half of them, 20 of them or so, were new games to me. So if that gives you a thought about how much I played that was new, that's a lot of stuff. So, let's do this. So what am I backing right now? Well, let's just get right to that, right? Because I didn't back anything that ended in January. I didn't. January was a month of launching stuff, but not a month of finishing projects. So here it is. Right now, Zombicide, 22 hours to go at the time of me filming this. You'll notice, if you're paying close attention, my pledge level right now dropped from the Galactus side of things down to the 240, which is both boxes. After this video, I'm probably going to go down here, go to the pledge levels, and drop it to the Undead pledge. Because, like I said in my numerous, too many, you can argue, Marvel Zombies videos, there's no reason to pledge anything above the core pledge during these campaigns. So, the 130 or the 240. Otherwise, they said you can upgrade in the pledge manager even if you do $1. And so there's no worry from that aspect because, again, I have never feared increasing my pledge after the campaign. I have been burned several times by putting too much into the campaign and not getting it back. So that's my number one tip, however you want to divvy it. Why am I probably keeping this pledge, barring last minute fear of spending this much money, which, is a real thing? One of the latest expansions, the Sinister Six, has a version where you get to play team versus team. And that is probably going to be the make it or break it for me. There's some arguing about, again, this is probably the 130 versus 240 pledge levels, about the X-Men Resistance core box and the fact that it doesn't appear to have a whole lot of exclusives, and maybe you could get that at retail. Because all of the exclusives that you're getting right here, as we get past these huge, massively overpriced all-in pledges, all of this stuff, you're getting all of these things. And this is a ton of stuff. That's why the 130 is more than enough from a base game standpoint. And again, they've got the 5 or 6 expansions here and a couple of the non-gameplay stuff here now with a whole other set of tiles so you can ad lib, ad nauseum, plastic tokens, and extra dice. Zombicide basics. I don't have a Zombicide. I am not a Zombicide basic. Zombicide Bay. Anyway, so I'm not one of those people that's just doing it because I want to get in on, another Zombicide. If I had another Zombicide, I probably wouldn't even consider this. This will probably be the only Zombicide I ever consider. And, mainly because they're all of a sudden throwing these stretch goals out at the end as they get further and further apart with the X-Men. Because that was my big disappointment of this campaign, was that if you look at this, they sort of have the pseudo, ooh, this is kind of the X-Men expansion. No, it's the X expansion. The X plus 3. X's plus 3 friends with benefits. The 3 Sentinels. So that's what it is. Just Professor X with a freaking expansion. Just what a waste. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. And the fact that these Sentinels are the same miniature poses as the ones over from Marvel United X-Men. Ridiculous. But yeah, I may end up obviously getting an expansion or two. Like I said, the Clash of the Sinister Six is by far the best expansion in my mind. Then I'm probably going to go Hydra and Fantastic Four in that order. Galactus is a Galactus Abomination eyesore. Uh, but I know people are going to get it, and I would be tempted to get it if I could just sell the model and keep the gameplay and make like 160 bucks, 150 bucks, whatever it would be. But I can't guarantee that, so don't really want to risk it either. Because, I mean, there's going to be 24,000 other people that are going to be potentially doing something of the same ilk. So you can't guarantee that the market isn't going to be saturated, but you can't also guarantee that non-board game people might find out about this later and really want it in droves. So that's the other high risk, high reward scenario there. But all in all, I think I'm going to keep my pledge unless barring something catastrophic happening in the last 22, 21 and a half hours at this point, just by all of the stuff that you can do, especially now with the team versus team mode. So that is the number one thing that I am backing right now. Next up is Puzzle Strike. I wasn't kidding. I really like this game. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the pledge, though, because there was sort of some ambiguity because, you know, as part of the arrangement sometimes with these videos is they will supply us on the video side of things with a full review copy at the end of it. And I think I'm getting one, but I'm not sure. If I don't end up getting one, I'm probably going to keep this because I really like this game. This is a great game. This is a really good game. I'm very happy with this. People are arguing that you don't need the deluxeifications or the wand. You don't. But there's a ton of game there, and it's different than anything else I've played. It's constantly being compared in the comment section to Bullet. It's completely different than Bullet. You can equally have both of them in your collection. As I posted on my video when I did the video for this game in the first place for the campaign. And it's a solid game. It's a very solid game. I have no qualms about saying that. And if you're looking for something completely different with a decent level of take that, with also some one versus all aspects with this little wand thing, again, I kind of wish the wand and some of the other things were de-deluxified because I think you could knock 20 or 30 bucks off the price, but you know what? It is what it is. So if you're interested in it and you haven't seen it, it's still got like a week to go at the time of me filming this. It's $100,000. I mean, this one's not going to be breaking the bank for, you know, total funding, but it's a good niche game for what it is. And it's got enough variety. It's got enough tactical, dynamic, strategic take that you're going to be happy, and it plays fast and it works well. So no qualms about it, especially with the extra decks you get here. So there you go. The only other thing I'm backing right now is Ostia. And again, this one actually has more than Puzzle Strike, which is weird. But it's coming off of the heels of the designer's other game, Aqua Garden, and you know, it's killing it. And I'd be interested to see how much of this funding is Aqua Garden or the other couple games like that they're adding in there versus just Ostia. And they're using this true Mancala mechanism. I think one of you guys in the comment section, or maybe one of the guys on Twitter I was interacting with, I can't remember who it was, but they said that this game is much heavier. Not much, but this game is significantly heavier than Aqua Garden because one of the complaints that Aqua Garden was it was a little light, it was a little random, didn't really, you know, a lot of variety, and some of the expansions wasn't quite as much as people would have wanted. I mean, it was a beautiful game to look at, but necessarily not the deepest game. And this appears to be maybe addressing some of those issues as you're moving your ships around, grabbing the resources, and then taking the actions based on where you land. And it's a deluxeification. There was a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning about, you know, what was the deluxeification pledge and what was the upgrade pledge, because they didn't have it fully listed out here of what the expansion all was going to have in it and then what the upgrade pack was all going to in it. But as you can see here on the page right now, it's all on there, so you know exactly what you're getting. So not a whole lot of wonderment there. And it's simplistic in the nature. It's got like 2 videos, 3 videos, and that's about it. Tabletop Simulator, you can test it out. These are true stretch goals for 100% extra funding on each level. So take it for what you will. You're probably not going to be able to get it cheaper or at all in retail, because I think the designer just started offering Aqua Garden a couple months ago, but it was definitely comparatively to the Kickstarter, it was a much higher price. So like I say with most of these Japanese games, if you're interested at all, one of the only ways you're going to get it is crowdfunding. If you can get it elsewhere, you're lucky. It's always going to cost you more. So again, just something to be aware of. And again, here are the add-ons down here. And a couple of these games that they're focusing on down here aren't even like in Board Game Geek. So there you go. those are the three things that I am backing currently and what I am potentially may or may not do with them. There you go. So next up, we will go to my top 5 games that were new to me that I played in the month of January. Now, I'm going to give you a couple quick blurbs here because I played a lot of very interesting things and a lot of very uh, eye-opening things in terms of, like, okay, what's out there? How does it compare to what people have said? And what do I think of it? And a couple of these I've mentioned in passing or I've put out videos for, and a couple of them I have not yet. And so it's going to be a little bit of a mix there. And to be clear, the top 5 games for this month are like, this was a much tougher list to make by the end than I was expecting it to be, especially because it started out so strong. So first up, I got my first taste of Too Many Bones. I played my little copy here, got the taste of it, know why people really like it, and I also can see exactly right now, just barely, grazing the surface, why people really don't like it either. The mechanics, the depth, the nuance, the randomness, the dice rolling, the upgradableness, the sort of min-maxing that is evident right from the get-go, the overhead in terms of all the rules and the minutia and the flipping the player cards back and forth to figure out, which one should I do or when am I applying this ability and which ability applies here. Like, I understand it. I understand why people like it and don't like it. So I get it. I don't have a final opinion on it yet. And I have Unbreakable coming, so I hope my final opinion is more positive than negative, but we'll see. I mean, it's chip theories. So we'll end up not like losing a huge amount of money on it, worst case scenario. But again, as you've heard me say, I don't do that in the first place. I do it because I'm expecting to like it, I'm hoping to like it, and I bought it anticipating liking it. So it'll be interesting to see what my final opinion is on it when I get more plays under my belt. Next up, Lord of the Rings. This is one of my Grail games. I picked it up. I played with my wife. I was the dark and she was the light. And I trounced her. And she's like, I don't see how you could ever win as the light side. But we have not had a chance to play a bit more so that we can develop a meta so that we can know things. Because in this game, it's really about knowing what the other person has and out bluffing them with all of these different cards and also the pieces themselves. So I don't know. Again, it's one that I wanted to try because I love this sort of game. Is it going to stick with me? I actually ended up with the deluxe version of it as well too in a trade that I have not played as well. But I got to figure out whether or not the base is going to be good enough, or why would I even try to get the deluxe version with the extra stuff, the extra powers, the extra abilities, the extra characters. So that's out there. Next up is Glow. I finally got my copy of Glow played. This is a very interesting dice rolling, sort of combo building point collection mechanic. It's very Zen-like. I didn't feel like I was necessarily playing like a super cutthroat game, and the mechanics are somewhat different. It's beautiful to behold. I'm not sure how much of a long-standing, lasting game it is. I just don't know yet, because it could have a very different dynamic with the 2 different board sides that there are, as well as sometimes you just get a better set, collection of these little monsters or abilities or victory point conditions than you do with others. But by far and away, it's probably one of the more beautiful games I've played in the last year or two. And so it definitely is worth a deeper dive in the near future. Next up, Floating Floors. This is a very interesting dexterity-based game. If you're looking for something unique and dexterity-based, I will say this, there's nothing out there like it, where you're building these little platforms, putting pieces below the platforms to keep them balanced, putting pieces on top of the platforms to traverse them, because you can only traverse on your own color, and then trying to get these little chakra points where then you have to spin your board by 90 degrees and make sure nothing falls. If anything falls, you get penalized and the other person gets to put things wherever they want, however they want, and gets to go then. Very interesting. If the price point is good on this, this is one that definitely check out when the Kickstarter campaign launches. So it might already be launched by the time I actually air this video. So if you want to, maybe just I'll throw the the link in the description below if it's already launched as well. So again, solid. Not a lot of rules, but a lot of strategy, a lot of tactics, and a lot of dexterity. So this one just missed the cut. So this one is number 5, my best games. I got to play Ginkgopolis. And, all the rage. I got the new edition. I traded for it in math trades a couple months ago, 4 or 5 months ago. And I didn't really understand what I was doing. And people say, you're building and you're doing this and you're doing that. But once you sort of get into it, it becomes a little bit more intuitive. Again, like I messed up a couple rules. in terms of, you know, when you're building next to things, and the level determines how much of it, and, you know, a couple of those things. But I see the potential. It was one of those light bulb moments where all of a sudden stuff goes off and you go, oh, that's why people really like this game. But again, you know, there's randomness in the cards and the deck draws and the numbers, and being able to mitigate it, or being able to wait for the right number and the right color, and, you know, trying to, you know, figure out, do I want to take over somebody else's building, or am I just going to build up in my own building, and do I build around the periphery, or do I just build up and up and up? And so there's a lot of dynamic there, and I really like it. And it's going to be one of those games where I am not good at it whatsoever, but it's going to be highly enjoyable as a next step up. It is not like super heavy, but it's also not super light, because it's just this nice combination of thinky but not too thinky. And the dynamic of really the three different actions that you're choosing from each turn makes it relatively straightforward as well. So that's why it's number 5. Number 4, this is Battle for Biternia. I had this as one of my first review copies, probably the first like half dozen, 10 review copies for this channel, and I got it played with my wife, and we both said afterwards, yeah, we really like this. This really works really well. My review for this is going to be coming out shortly. Don't be fooled by the sprite-esque 8-bit art. It is highly tactical. The characters are highly asymmetric. The way they work, the way they cycle through their powers based on the amount of turns between them that you can play, the way you upgrade them, when you can buy upgrades. You can turtle, but it's not going to work for you the best. The defense mechanisms of the towers and the crystal itself that you're trying to take out, that will deal damage to your people as you're trying to take them out in the first place, is unique. It's streamlined. It does a great job at capturing the MOBA-esque spirit in a board game form. I'm not really sure if you are looking for a MOBA game, you need to go any further than this. There's an expansion coming out really, really soon that was crowdfunded, I think, in the beginning of 2021. And so if you can pick up the base game for this, I highly recommend this as a 2-player game if you're looking for something that is more tactical on a map with heroes that are asymmetric enough that, you know, again, it really does matter, because we just kind of picked the first game which heroes we were going to be. Found out very quickly that, you know, like, I like this one. Ooh, I did not like the way this one worked. I was not a fan of the Bard. I thought the Bard would be really cool. Bard, nope. My wife had the Ice Mage. She did not like how the Ice Mage works, but she loved the Paladin. So things like that you get into that are kind of cool. It's got a few Easter eggs in terms of, you know, mainstream IP geekdom, nerddom. So it's a wonderful game. I cannot recommend this one enough from that side of things. Again, this is going to surprise you guys. I am all of a sudden on a roll and write kick. I ended up backing in the middle of December Voyages, the roll and write print and play. And this is a fantastic game. I will have no doubts saying this. I really like this game. It really works well for just the next step up of the roll and writes. But again, it plays super simple. Solo, I played it first couple times to learn it, and you play 16 rounds and you score based on what you got. And otherwise, it's a race to whoever can get the first 3 victory stars done, and then totaling all of your points over here for the, there's 6 different areas in which you can score. There's 3 maps actually out now, and there's also people are creating their own maps. And so I think there's 2 or 3 like really, really solid create your own maps. So my wife and I, we laminated this. We've played it. I played it with 2 other people in my game group. Everybody loves it. And I think it cost me €4, so about $5.50 for the campaign. It is probably going to be the best bang for my buck in terms of a crowdfunding game ever, as weird as that sounds. Maybe not. No, I'll say it. It's probably going to be that. And I'm going to have a video out soon sort of comparing and contrasting the ghosts of roll and write, past, present, and future. This being one of them, to give you a little bit of an inkling of what's out there and differences and what you need to know. So super pleased by this. I've only even played 1 map, so I just can't wait to play more, because I need to laminate some of the 3rd and 4th and you know, backer ones. But I have the first 2, and I'm just waiting to get it played more, because it's, you know, play it in 10-15 minutes, you're done. Simultaneous play works well. There you go. So what was my number 2 game of this month? I finally got my copy of TZAAR played. This game is fantastic. I am a big abstract fan. I'm a bigger even Git fan. I have played Zerts. That's going in the outtakes. Zerts as well as Yinch. And Yinch is great. I love Yinch. Yinch is fantastic. I'm gosh awful at Yinch. But I got TZAAR, and I am good at TZAAR. Or let's put it this way. I'm better at TZAAR than I am at Yinch. To be determined how good I actually am. But I love the concept. It looked one of those that was going to be a lot more complicated than it was, but it works so well. It's so fast. It's so easy to play. I love the GIP series because it's like 2.5 pages of rules that completely make sense, that don't complicate things overly, and that are just elegant in the simplicity. And there's a reason that all of these are so highly rated. And now I see, like, before I hadn't played this one, I was looking at it and going, was really TZAAR like better than Yinch? Like, Yinch is good. Like, this is really good. Now that I've played TZAAR is better than Yinch. I'll put that out there. TZAAR, Yinch, Zerts, in that order. I haven't played some of the others that are routinely probably thought of less, but I probably will end up at some point with all of them in my collection. And I'm going to be putting a video out on these as well in the future, talking about them and just the nuance and the aspect of these that just doesn't get talked about enough, because these are amazing games that people should really look at, but they just don't, because it's unfortunate. So I'm hyping over this one. What was my best game of the month then? If you saw my review, Dune Imperium. I was not expecting to like this game, but again, I ended up with it in a math trade, seeing a common theme there. And it's just a great game. This shouldn't be as good as it is. The sum of the parts is greater than the individual parts for me. Like the worker placement, the deck building, it's a little swingy, but the sum of it, especially with the combat and choosing when to combat and when to save your troops and going to the different locations and having other people block you sometimes and going to those locations, it creates a dynamic that I wasn't quite expecting. And people say, people are either on Team Arnok or Team Dune. I have no interest in Arnok. From what I've heard about how Arnok is different, and from what I've experienced with Dune, I am all the way Team Dune. So, blazing across my chest. Somebody should make that into a board game shirt. Team Dune, and another one Team Arnok, and another one Team Endless Winter, or something like that. Speaking of that, I should make like apparel, but like all these other people have like apparel sites and things like that, and I don't do graphic design. And anyway, it'd probably be like words on a shirt, and my stupid catchphrases like Hyperspace Kraken and I don't know, whatever else I say that's don't put it in the comments section. That's not what I'm asking for with this, about my common phrasings and colloquialisms and things like that, my Liegisms. Anyway, but yeah, it just works out great. I am seriously close to actually picking up the expansion at a retail side of things. And again, if you listen to me at all on this channel, I don't pick up things at retail hardly at all. And so that's how highly I think of this game in the first place. I cannot say enough positive things about it. So it works really well. I'm happy to have it in my collection. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. There you go. So where are things at? I'm going to try and do a little bit more Patreon. Getting up there, getting exclusive posts. I'm trying to do everything weekly on that. And then I'm trying to, sort of stratify the tiers out. I don't really know. I want to incentivize people to support, but I also don't want to like pledge lock or people out as well. Like, if you can only do $1, if you want to do $2, if you want to do 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it may be, like giving you actually incentive for doing that. So as I mentioned, 10 by 10, just voting and that sort of thing. And just going to be playing a whole bunch more stuff in February. I have 3 new prototype copies that literally came in the mail within the last 2 or 3 days of me filming this video. And so I've got stuff like that coming out. I've got, as I mentioned, the floating floors. I've got Mercurial that's coming out. And I did Collab and Seas of Havoc and Puzzle Strike, and I'm forgetting something else as well. But it's rolling, it's going, it's there. Hopefully I will get to 5,000 soon. 5,000 is the goal. 10,000 is the 2022 goal. And spoilers if you're watching this, like I said, but I might be doing some collaborations soon. Someone that you may or may not know is doing stuff that's somewhat similar. We're gonna see, just kind of see behind the scenes about if things can work out and how we do that. And I'm like super nervous about doing that. Like, as a side note, like I'm not technology savvy. Like, I wish I could have a better studio setup. Like, I want to be like Quackalope or Board Game Co. and have like this super fancy setup, but like I am scared to like modify like even the things I have, of like messing it up, and I just don't know what to do. And like I probably need like a new computer, because the computer I have is super old, and I know it limits some of the clarity and some of the frames per second that I can do on this, and that side of things. And I need my third light that never worked, that I need that fixed. And I want to do more playthroughs. I want to do a lot more playthroughs, because I think that's what's really interesting too, and it's what helps people along the same lines. And it's what helps with exposure too, because there's only so many of those videos that you want to watch about people just talking heads like me of saying whether or not you should back things. So that's all I got. A little ramble there at the end, but yeah, tons of stuff upcoming, tons of stuff coming out. working on my 10 by 10, and hopefully I'll have that firmed out by the end of February so that I can actually try and do it by the end of the year. And working on the Shelf of Shame, obviously, like I said, Shelf of Shame. I threw that in there. I said that too fast. And I couldn't catch myself. Just trying to get through that. Like I said, I mean, like 20 plus new games. Obviously, some of these were crowdfunders or prototypes, but I really worked through about like 10 games from my Shelf of Opportunity this month. And so I knocked off a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to keep track of it. So hopefully next month I'll have a little bit more of a breakdown in terms of that, but it's all good. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's do this. That's all I got. Stay classy. Have a great day. See you around. Let me know what you backed. Let me know what you didn't back. Let me know where you spent your money. Retail, crowdfunding, whatever it is. Oh, yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this. I just can't stop. Oh, yeah, there we go. And I have played Zits.